Hey, bucket listers, welcome to another episode of the Bucket List Life podcast and on video. And I'm with the great Keith Abraham. How are you, mate?
Oh, exceptionally well, mate. Thanks for asking.
Whereabouts are you in the world? That is the best Zoom backdrop I have ever seen. I tell you that.
Thanks. This is my backyard.
Yeah.
This is just from the backyard. This is Burleigh Heads. In actual fact, it's a lovely banner, not one of those funky virtual backgrounds. Grew up on the Gold Coast, as you know, Trav, and so that was my local beach when I was on the coast.
Nice.
And back in the good old days.
Yeah, we've seen some great Zoom backdrops over the course of this Corona cyclone. How have you adapted? Because how many speaking awards have you been awarded in your time so far? Educator of the Year, Keynote of the Year. What do we got?
Yeah, I've won them all. Does that give me is that why I've got this platinum white hair? Keynote Speaker of the Year, Educator of the Year, Nevin Award winner, CSP. Wow. Won all of those particular awards. I've been doing this for 24 years, Trav, so spoken to 1.6 million people in 33 different countries. So, I suppose if you stay around long enough, they give you something.
Yeah, look, and you already know this, mate, because you've been a great mentor coach to me in my speaking career, a guy that I've always looked up to. And I can't say that about a lot of people, both internationally and nationally. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the guidance that you've given me over the years. And hopefully I can grow up and be like you one day. So
I'll get out of it, mate. Let me say this, Trev. What you've created with your organisation, with the Bucket List, is just sensational and very, very clever on what you've been able to pull together. And mate, you're a mentor for people like me who say, if you just think bigger, bolder, and braver, what can you achieve? So mate, you're lighting the way for so many people.
Oh, I appreciate that. Right back at you. And look, how have you? We parted ways in Adelaide when we did the National Speakers Australia conference recently, and that was just before the coronavirus. How have you adapted?
About 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, 8 weeks ago. So it's been 2 months. How have you adapted, being in one, isolation, and two, adapted your message and your delivery to help people, get themselves and their businesses through this?
Well, one of the things that I sort of picked up early on, the first thing I did was not to react. I just had a little mantra that said, it's all about how you react and how you respond. How you react and how you respond. So my reaction was, don't panic, and a great mentor for you and a great presenter and coach, Brad Sugars, talks about that whole, don't panic, plan. And I heard that message and I thought, this is a time just to catch my breath and plan a strategy. I think too many people jumped and tried to do stuff as speakers. And I just, that first week was just about, am I okay? Is my family okay? Are my friends okay all around the world? Are the people who look after me, the guy that makes my shirts, the people who wash our cars and mow the lawns and all that sort of stuff, are they okay? And then I just, and then I said, okay. I made a decision in that second week that I was going to be as good a presenter virtually as I was on stage. And so I spent about 40 hours and learnt about how to make all this work and how to make this work effectively. And, what you see today is a studio.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really is. You speak a lot about passion, and what is that? Yeah. What is that for you? How do you define that?
Yeah, good question. Here's the mantra that I use in all the presentation. Nothing great happens until someone becomes passionate about something. And so a lot of people go, but I don't know what my passion is. I don't know what my why is. And I might talk about that in a tick. And here's what I can tell you is that everybody's life is made up of 4 parts. There are things in your life that you like to do. There's things in your life that you love to do. There's things in your life that you have to do, and there's things in your life that you hate to do. And what I can say to you is that if your life is totally consumed by the things you have to do and hate to do, highly technical term, but your life's crap. And so one of the things there is that, so how do you gravitate towards doing the things you like to do and love to do? And that's about making a decision. You see, the world fits into two parts, I believe. You either go and pursue your passion and you earn an income from it, a bit like what you and I do, or you go and earn an income so you can go and pursue your passion. And I think
I like that.
what the challenge is, Trav, and so what the challenge is, of course, is that if you're not in one of those two camps, you're in this middle ground, and this middle ground is you're existing and you're enduring. You're not enjoying.
Right. Yeah.
And so, so once you get that worked out on where you want to be, because you think, you know what, I earn good money over here, but it's not my passion. That's okay. Make sure you then go and use that money or that time or that choices to be able to go and pursue your passion. And so you and I are fortunate because we do exactly what we love to do, make a difference in people's lives and get paid really well for it.
Is there a lot of people that are scared to go and pursue their passion, breaking the mold and going after it?
Yeah, 100%. If you think of it, there's three fears, isn't there? There are people who are, they're fear of failure. So what if I have a go, it doesn't work out and people label me a loser? Second fear, what if I do have a go and it does work out and people have a higher expectation of me and I don't know if I can live up to that? And then, of course, the third fear is fear of change. And so you're 100% right. Sometimes people dabble in, I'd love to, I'd love to go and pursue my passion of pastry cooking. That was the first thing that popped in my head. Maybe I'm hungry. And so they go, but I've got this good job over here. But you get holidays, don't you, buddy?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you take 2 weeks off? And one of those weeks, go to the local, French patisserie and say, can I just hang out here for the week? You don't have to pay me anything. I'll pack bags. I'll do whatever you need to do. But I'd just like to see, is this what I'm passionate about? Am I passionate about enough to turn it into a profession?
Yeah. I love it. That's a really good definition. How do you go from passion to a goal? Like how do you turn that into a goal?
Yeah. So if you think of it, actual fact, let me show a slide. I'm going to do a little bit old school stuff. But so let me do it.
Nice.
Hey, like that. What now? Hi, I'm Keith Abraham. No, let me see. Here's what we've got to do now. We got to reset the goal, review the mindset, and refocus on what counts. Now, how do we reset the goal? So this is really important to be able to do that. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All good.
That's spot on.
So purpose. So what's the funky word? What's the trendy word for purpose? Why? And I'll come back and talk about why in a moment. Yeah. But what we do know is, with purpose, you need a plan. Yeah. With a plan, you get progress. You and I both know that the greatest frustration in most people's lives is we don't feel like we're making progress. And so this progress feeds our passion. Now, if you said to me, written 5 best-selling books, 4 of them about passion, goals, and focus. If you said to me, you can never ever use the word passion ever again, too easy. I'd change every single word in the book to the word energy.
I love it. Yeah.
Because you want to hang around, how do you know when you hang around negative people? Simple. You feel a lot better after you left them.
Yeah, that's it. You feel like you need to wash for a holiday.
Because they're energy suckers. They're cake-eating oxygen thieves. And so what happens is, when you've got good energy, which means that you've got good passion for something in life. Remember what I said before? Yeah. Nothing great happens until somebody becomes passionate about something. Yeah. And that feeds back into the purpose. And this leads us a little bit, as we start to think about this leads us to this whole question around, finding your why.
Yeah. How do you find Simon Sinek's work?
Yeah.
You were talking about this, and a lot of other people were talking about this before he branded it.
Yeah, I know. Look, hats off to Simon. He was able to take a message and put a new spin and a new slant on it, and that obviously has seen him become the guru of people finding their why. And he's done an exceptional job. Obviously his TED talk just went ballistic off the. So sometimes it was in the right place at the right time at the right moment with the right message. So good luck to Simon. I replaced Simon on main stage of $1 Million Round Table a few years ago. And really it came down to, I suppose, it came down to, as you and I both know, and you've done an exceptionally job of this, is that a concept is wonderful to engage interest, but you need a methodology. You need information, and you need ideas for implementation. And so you've got to have something to be able to back that up. So, how do you find your purpose? Well, the purpose there is, and I just did a webinar on this yesterday, that there's about 10 questions you have to ask yourself to be able to dig away, all the things that all the layers that you put on yourself. You've got to be able to get down to that root cause and that root reason, and then start to work through.
Where do those 10 questions come from? Are they yours? Are they?
Yeah, I've just created them over the years because obviously, I talk about passion, and part of the process that I share with people is about having a bigger reason why.
Yeah.
I coined this phrase a number of years ago: when the why becomes clear, the how becomes easy.
100%.
And so, but people know what and they know how. So what's the goal? The how's the plan. But they don't know the reason why. So I've created a whole methodology, Trav, around, understand, firstly, the 10 questions you got to ask yourself. My work, I talk about the 100 things you want to do in your lifetime as well. And that was something I learned 36 years ago or something. And so you've got that. And then the other piece then is I've got a 9-part goal driver formula. See, here's what I've worked out. If you truly want to achieve a goal, you have to have an emotional, mental, and a physical connection to it. Now, most people talk, what does that really look like? Why, what, how? Feel, think, do. Heart, head, hands. And so I created a process through about 17 years of research around these what I call goal drivers, and we could spend a day on this, but in essence, it's you got 135 different emotions as an adult. 64 of them are positive. They break down into 8 core, what I call goal drivers. And so once you know what your driver is, which is in essence that emotional state, that emotional reason, then you can start to find your why.
Fantastic. I love that. And what book or what reference can you give people? We're going to continue on, but where can people find more about that particular part of your stuff?
Beautiful. Just go to my website, keithabraham.com. You can buy. There's a book called It Starts With Passion. There's another book called Focus. Both of those. But if you're a little, if you want to go to the resources area, Trav, there is a 45-page ebook called Goal Drivers, and you can get that for the very expensive price of free.
There we go. Lock that in, people. How do we overcome obstacles? How do you overcome obstacles? What's been coronavirus? What we can control, what we can't control. What's been the advice around obstacles? If you want to even call it that, if you phrase it another term, let me know. But what's been the advice? And I dare say it hasn't changed, of what you've been given people lately.
Yeah, look, firstly, the first message is control the controllables.
Right. Love it.
So,
Yep.
firstly, what can I control? I can control how I respond and how I react. I can control that.
Yep.
I can't control what the government's going to do. I can't control if they're going to let us fly again, open up borders. How many rolls of toilet paper can I buy now? I can't control any of that.
Yep.
But what I can control is the ability on how I respond and how I react. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that if that's the case, then I just need a goal for the next 30 days. I just need a goal for the next 30 days. And because, you know me, I talk about having a vision for the future, a long-term. And I just think at this point of time, people can't get their head around that. But I can get my head around what I need to achieve. So the first 30 days of coronavirus, we're into the second 30 days now, but the first 30 days of coronavirus was that first week was as I said before, look after me, look after my family, look after the people who look after us. The second, third, and fourth week was reach out to my top 300 clients and say, "Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
You want to be the calm voice and the safe pair of hands." And so I made 300 phone calls to people all over. My clients are all over the world, and just to sort of check in with them and say, "What you tell me what you need, and I will do it." If you need someone to jump on a webinar and just give your people hope and give them a how, happy to do that. You just tell me. And so now we're into the second, and then the other thing I did as well, Trav, is I set up this studio. I learned about how do I become as good virtually as I am on stage. Yeah. And so I created this studio all at home.
Yeah, fantastic.
The next 30 days is all about, now for me, the next 30 days for me is all about finishing the 24 projects that I've got to fix, enhance, develop, create, improve my business.
Right. I thought you were going to say around the home. No?
You obviously don't know me. Oh my God, no. So
I speak. I don't get these dirty. I don't get these dirty.
This is, this is my craft right here. How would I be if I don't, so that, that's because here's my thinking at this point of time. What I do in the next 90 days is going to set me up for the next 2 to 5 years.
100. Yeah, that is so good. And it's being speakers, we've got the privilege of being having that helicopter perspective over a lot of different teams, a lot of different businesses, and also a lot of different industries. And people are scared. We're talking about the old normal and the new normal. How's this going to play out? I mean, you're hearing of people not going back, not going back to work at all. People are recalibrating. Am I happy? Am I going to continue doing this? How do you see work? How do you see work and life, or businesses changing?
So here's what here's my observations, and obviously, talking to people all around the world, you get a good feel on what's happening all around the world. Like I have clients in the UK. I was only on a call with them Tuesday night to some leaders over there, and so here's what I think. Already, that client in the UK, as well as a client here in Australia, has emailed all of their people and say, let us know if you want to come back to work.
Wow.
Let us know if you want to continue, because there are some actuaries and some CFOs, some chief financial officers are going, well, why do we need 3 floors of office space in CBD Melbourne? Why do we need that?
Exactly.
So I wouldn't want to be in commercial real estate at the moment. Secondly, there are some people change how they select a role on the ability to not come in the office. So I think of companies, and I won't name companies, whose policy was, well, unless you're prepared to move to Melbourne, then we don't have a role for you.
Wow.
Where people are now going, I actually don't want to do the 3-hour commute daily. I'm actually enjoying walking my kids to school or going to the gym early. By the way, I'm still doing the same amount of work, if not more, and I'm still in touch with all of my clients and my people, if not more. Now, the whole working from home thing is not new, but it was a flexibility thing. Oh, you can work from home 2 days a week. If you feel you get more done, you can do that. Yeah. But now I think it'll be totally reversed, Trav, and there'll be the only time. And here's the good news for speakers. This is my belief. It could be totally wrong, but once a year, people would have a conference. I reckon with people not working, with people working remotely, I honestly believe that the big challenge will be around engagement and the maintenance of culture. And so that will require people to do quarterly town halls, and they will soon get sick of their own leadership team talking to them, and they'll need people like you and me to come in with a similar message, but delivered in a different way.
Yeah, so good. I'm getting the same vibe out there too. The game has changed, and everything's up for negotiation in workplace contracts. And this whole remote and just having this conversation this morning, I reckon the hardest thing of trying to keep everyone together is how do you maintain culture when everyone's behind a screen? Yeah. So
and of course the big metric in every organisation, Trav, is engagement scores. Now it's a novel working from home, but sooner or later people are going to feel not that they're in isolation, but they're going to feel isolated. Big difference. Big difference. One is a physical, the other is an emotional. And that will have a significant impact on companies measuring their engagement scores.
So true. And what about just your opinion on the mental health ramifications of this? We were already, I mean, you come across a lot of blokes. You do a lot of work in the car industry, from what I know, and what's going to be the ramifications? We're already in a bad place. We already had anxiety, depression, loneliness epidemic at unprecedented levels. It was already costing companies, industries, billions. What about now?
Well, now it's there is so much more of a social responsibility on organisations and on leaders to be able to connect with people who they feel are who are vulnerable. And the challenge, of course, now, even like most people, hide it or pretend pretty well, or mask it through whatever method or process. But what is going to really come to the forefront is the ability to check in on people who, especially now when you've got people who are live by themselves, and because they can't socialise, because I understand this in a lot of cases, their community, their friendship community, is at work. Yeah. And so, this is going to be something that people will have to look at. Now, here's the my take around this, and this is not my area of expertise, but I always find when people become anxious, it's because they have too many, they're thinking of too many options, too many choices, and too many what ifs. Yeah. And so the antidote for that is obviously getting people focused on what they can control. They need to starve the distraction and feed the focus. Hard to do if you don't have a focus.
And repeat that for me.
Yeah, sure. You got to starve your distractions and feed your focus. So that's a quote out of my focus book. And I just, because there's so much noise out there. Now, people talk about this white noise. There's all sorts of noise. And so when people are anxious, it's because they're focused on so many different things and so many different choices. And what if it's not the right choice? And of course, they get into this, they beat themselves up, and they become emotionally, mentally depleted by that. They just run out of juice.
Yeah.
The second is being overwhelmed, and being overwhelmed is the thing around what's the right choice for me. This is why goal setting is so important for people, because it gives them a pathway to, I can control this. Will it go, will it go straight? No, there'll be some zigzags along the way, and that's the character building part of it.
Yeah.
Because what we've got to try and do is we've got to get people into this corridor of clarity, not the chasm of confusion. And so if we can just get them on this corridor of where I'm going, what I'm doing, how I'm going to get there, then that gives them back some control, and that diminishes the anxiety and, of course, the piece around being overwhelmed. Now, the depression piece, of course, is another kettle of fish altogether. But that also comes back to purpose. So what's my purpose, and what can I control?
Yeah, perfect. Just change tune a little bit. Give us your an example. I love speaking to speakers about this because it's kind of like therapy, to be honest. And we did a session at the PSA conference on the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's some amazing stories of when you're a professional speaker and when you get up to CSP level, certified speaking professional level, where you're you're no longer you're a professional speaker, and there's a professional standard that comes with us, but the road towards that is paved with all sorts of potholes, all sorts of crazy gigs,
learning experiences.
There we go. Mate, let's start on we're talking about depression. Let's go on that theme. Worst gig, then best gig. Go for it.
Yeah, okay. Early on in my career, so that's 24 years ago, I got engaged by Shell to go and teach people about cross-selling in service stations. And so I'd go to a regional area and people would come from the local service stations, and I'd talk to them about how, the cross-selling benefits and stuff like that. So I did all around Southeast Queensland, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, Brisbane, Toowoomba, and just got some really great feedback. And they said, look, would you if we flew you, would you do other parts of Queensland? I said, oh, sure, no worries at all. I'm starting out my first year, whatever. I'm going to do it. You want me to dance as well? I'm going to do anything. And so, because hey, it was all about putting some food on the table and all that sort of gear.
Yeah.
And so they said, we want you to go to a place. Why don't you go to Emerald? But there is a couple of service stations at a place called Blackwater. And Blackwater is this side of Emerald. It's in the middle of nowhere, but you're probably going to have to stay overnight there. We'll fly you into Rocky, pick up a car, drive there, then get overnight, then next day. Yeah, no worries at all. So I'm staying at now. You can't call it a hotel. The presentation is in the hotel, is in the pub. And they've got their dongers out the back, and so it's just Bessa block. No, nothing on the walls, and a shower which you had to wear thongs in, and I'm going, shit, is this the life of a professional? And I shared the room that night with a rat that was in the room that I just couldn't catch, and so I thought that would have to. And then the next day, the group was there,
What do you want, mate?
What are you going to teach us? Numb nuts, and it was
dance, monkey boy, dance.
That's right, as Colin Jones would say, yeah. And I thought, geez, should I just go back and back into the corporate world? So that was probably the worst gig. And you know what? I tell you what, in essence, that was probably the best gig, because every time I've ever gone to complain about, how come they've got me in a room alongside the elevator of this, of the Grand Hyatt.
Can't believe this is 4 stars. I mean,
how is that? What you don't have butter chicken on the take, on the room service. Oh my God, what sort of establishment are you running here? Every time I go to do that, I go, it's not as bad as Blackwater. And so that's the benchmark. It's not as bad as Blackwater.
Nice.
What's been, so yeah, that was definitely the worst. I suppose, man, there's been
the
so many
speaking bucket list, like you did what you mentioned one before, the $1 million round table. I'm sure that was one of them. And this is, I've got my own little speaking bucket list of the things I want to achieve. And one of it is to be like Keith Abraham, but it's apart from
stop it. Stop it.
Yes. But at the end of the day, you've got to have a handful of these things. What's the one that's like, yes, where you really nailed it and you really, got that, had the flow,
Yeah. There's probably, they could be broken into a few different categories, like venue. I remember I was in the Maldives and I did 2 weeks, 2 conferences back to back, same location for the same company in the Maldives. And so if you can picture this, the conference room is pretty much open because the weather's pretty, and I'm on the stage and the audience are looking at me, a couple of hundred people, but I'm looking out over blue water, a bit like I am seriously looking out over something like this. So location, that would be the location.
Amazing.
$1 million round table was the first. I've spoken twice, main platform, $1 million round table, one in Asia and one in the US, and that was pretty special. 7,500 people and
wow,
standing ovation and all that, all that sort of stuff, which was lovely. But where that goal came from was the first time I went to the NSA in the USA. I sat along, and of course they introduced people, and of course that's the platform that every speaker wants to be on. Yeah. And so, they used to say, and, Larry Winget, just come back from the MDRT. And I'm going, what's that MDRT? $1 million round table. Yeah. And so that was great. And then I think the one that was, the one that I think is the real feather in my cap, which was, well, I think it is, was probably one of the smallest events I ever spoke to, which was 16 people. And that was last year. I was asked to go and present to 16 of the largest, 16 CEOs of the largest direct selling companies in the world.
Wow.
And so I was the only person that flew in on commercial. Yeah. And in the room there was just over 100 billion in turnover. And so they asked me to come in and talk to them about how they transition, change, evolve their business and their leaders for this next generation of direct selling. Wow. And so I was picked out. And the other thing that was really astounding about that I've been the only professional speaker outside of only speaker they've ever had outside of their industry, only professional speaker they've ever had. And that just started with a conversation and an array. So it was just such a lovely recognition that I'm held in that type of regard.
That's a pretty close-knit community, that direct selling industry. So. Yeah, that's fantastic, mate. And look, how can people, like, this has been fascinating, and we do, and we have spoken for hours and hours about this stuff, because we share our want and desires for wanting to help others to experience their own potential before their time is up. And mate, how can people connect with you, buddy?
Yeah, lovely. Thank you, Trav. Look, the best way is to go to my website, click on blog, and click on subscribe, and you get a weekly email from me, which is all about inspiration, information, insights, and ideas on how to be better, how to be the best version of yourself. And so that's one way. If you've got a pressing question that you'd like to dig a bit deeper, then people can always send me an email, keith@keithabraham.com.au, and I'll answer it. If it's complicated, I'll do a video up, and if it's complex, I'll I'll get them on the phone. And so always happy to help people, work towards what they want to achieve.
Yeah, fantastic, Keith. And talking about inspiration, thanks for being an inspiration for me and my speaking journey, and even the message that I speak about. Your message has been an inspiration for mine as well. So thanks again, mate. And thanks heaps for the time.
Oh, pleasure, mate. Thanks for the opportunity, and keep on changing people's lives like you do, mate. It's amazing what you've created, and it's just amazing what the impact you're going to have on the world over the next 20 years.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks.